Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Higher or Lower, brought to you by Spreadex, Sporting Index and oddschecker. This is the show where we preview the weekend's football, looking at the spread betting markets, taking the midpoint in various markets and predicting if they will end up being higher or lower. I'm your host, George Elek. I am delighted to be joined, as ever, by WhoScored's Dan Worth and tipster Jack Wright.
Hello.
How are you both?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
I feel healthy and happy. So isn't that nice?
That is.
Last week didn't go to plan for us. We got three. Jack got 5, extending his lead.
Oh no, this back's getting worse.
Like, it's one of those where like it's only two points. So it's fine. But
I'll take 2 every week.
I think we had my favourite winner yet. Where
that would be.
Like, player goal minutes has always been a bone of contention on the show. Where I always think it's a massive seller's market. Dan, you love goals.
I like it.
You said you were going to do your I love goals impression.
I did do a tweet. I didn't do an impression. I'm
fine.
Sorry.
And so it was rock and roll Rasmus Højlund against Luton. You bought.
Didn't he do well?
Bought his player goal minutes.
Didn't he
scored
do
twice.
Oh, brilliant.
I said he couldn't keep scoring.
No,
You said he absolutely can keep scoring. He scored twice.
Yeah.
Made me look like a fool.
Mate, well done. Well done.
Thanks.
But
Yeah, bit early. A little bit early.
or was it 1 and 8?
Made up 8, 1 and 7.
1 and 7.
So rock and roll that you wanted to get it done so early, could get an early.
And what was the line?
I think it was like 25 or
So a
something.
massive loser.
Yeah, massive loser. 2 goals and didn't even make up 10.
I can see you're angry.
I'm really angry, and also I'm well aware that there's another goal minutes market or player goal minutes market.
There is,
in
and
this
I
episode.
think you're going to go higher.
Call it early.
Yeah.
You're right. Let's see. Can
Well,
you read it?
I mean,
Can you
that
read
is
the room?
that is our final market. So
Can't-
we've got 7 others to get through before we get there. So let's get into it now.
What a way to begin.
Yes, Rasmus Højlund, that was hilarious. Thank you very much. Starting Friday night football in the Championship, and depending how this goes, like it could be the biggest game of the season so far, or it could be fairly irrelevant. Leeds host Leicester. This is second v first in the Championship. Leeds currently 9 points behind Leicester. That gap will obviously become 6 if they were to win this game. But if Leicester were to win it, that would make it a 12-point gap, and you would think probably the title will be heading to the King Power. Leeds are the favourites for this one. They won the reverse 1-0 back in October. 0.5 is the midpoint with Spreadex. So a higher here is a Leeds win, a lower is a Leicester win, or a draw. We're going higher or lower. 3, 2, 1. We all agree. Look at you guys finally coming over.
All Leeds, aren't we?
Yeah,
Right.
finally
All
coming
Leeds.
over to the bright side. I'll kick us off here.
Go on then.
Do it.
I think that if the Championship was to start again on Friday, and so everything was wiped out from this season, and the Championship was to start again,
It's not a bad idea.
it would be good, wouldn't it? And as a Norwich fan, you'd be happy. We would start again from now, full season starting. I think Leeds would be favourites for the Championship title, personally.
I agree.
I think right now, Leeds are the best team in the league. I think that's reflected in their incredible winning run that's lasted the whole year. I think the shift of Ethan Ampadu going in centre-back, and if having Gruev and Kamara has worked really well as a midfield too. Dan James has been a brilliant form all season coming out, and Willie Gnonto coming in, and I think he's a better player than James, despite James' good form has been massive for them. Bamford and Peru both being in good form, leading the line, kind of interchanging has been massive. Somerville, arguably the best player in the league. And they're up against the Leicester side here, who, for all of their brilliant play this season, things don't quite feel right to me right now, where you've got Enzo Maresca having a pop at fans, fans complaining that the football is boring, which I find mad when you consider the way they play and the goals they've scored and the players they've got at their disposal. Individual players not playing well, like Steffi Mavididi has been massive for Leicester this season, hooked at half-time last time out in their defeat against Middlesbrough. Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, massive player for them, maybe the best player in the league this season. He's been in poor form, hooked with 25 minutes to go. I don't think Leicester are playing particularly well right now, and this is a game where, for Leicester, they'll believe that their position, even if they lose this game, is still pretty strong. For Leeds, this is absolutely essential. Like you saw Leeds fans in midweek basically cheering every Rotherham goal and every Hull goal against Ipswich and Southampton as if they were their goals. Like this is a massive promotion clash for them, and they'll believe that they can do it. So I I think if we see these two teams play true to form, I think Leeds run out winners of this one. And I think we'll have a title race on our hands between these two, because Leicester's run of games after this, QPR, who are playing well themselves, Sunderland, Hull, like, it's not getting easy for them. So, yeah, Leeds, strong fancy for me. Jack?
What can I add to that? Not a lot is the question. The answer, actually, not the question. And Daniel Farke can smell a third title here, absolutely. And they're relentless at the moment. Everything you've said there is absolutely spot on. And I just think they're playing great football. They've obviously got a sensational record this year so far. Throughout the course of the whole season, they've been brilliant at home. And so I think you look at Leicester, and there's just been the amount of times I've seen opposition fans say, I can see, after Leicester's won, I can see why Leicester fans aren't quite enjoying it as much as you feel they should. Last season, Burnley were in a similar situation and were playing sensational football and their fans were loving it. And it doesn't feel anything like that for Leicester at this moment in time. So, yeah, for Leeds, I just think that Farke's been there, he's done it. He can sense that there's a chance here, a 6-point gap with a win in this one, and they're going to absolutely march on. And, yeah, so there's nothing for me to add because you absolutely nailed it.
Thanks, Dan.
That makes it really easy for me then. Guys. Yeah, you guys have nailed it. Like, home form for Leeds, really, really good. They've also won every game in 2024, which is 8 of them and conceded once.
It's a bit annoying that because they're going to drop points soon, but carry on.
Yeah, he's bound to say the run's going to end after I go. And again, you mentioned it, like this is some of the best individual players in the league. Well, definitely is. And it's largely going to come down to which one of them perform on the day. And I'd much rather be with the Leeds players than Leicester, based on what we've seen so far.
I'm friends with a couple of Leeds fans, and I said that when they got Farke, I said he is the perfect manager for you because he just gets the whole environment, he gets the fans on board, he understands the club, he buys into the whole philosophies of it. I've obviously seen it myself at close hand, and and he's just sensational at that. And I think with the Leeds fans being that passionate, they just need. Obviously, we saw it with Bielsa, but this is a similar scenario. And they've bought well into Farke now. They're seeing what he's done. He's developed this side now after a little bit of a sluggish start, but that's what he does. And then he gets them playing his way. And I say he's just got that whole fan base, and that's powerful. That's fearsome when they're all working together like that. Ellen Road's going to be absolutely rocking on Friday night, and Leicester, I think, are going to feel the force.
Interesting stuff. We all agree Leeds here to make this a title race rather than a procession on Friday night in the Championship. Next up, early kickoff on Saturday is Bournemouth hosting Manchester City. City having dropped points against Chelsea last weekend and then just edging past Brentford in a 1-0 victory. Two of their less convincing home performances, 4 points from the two games. They travel to a Bournemouth side who we've seen obviously play some pretty good stuff under Iraola, albeit not in a great vein of form right now. We're looking at total goal minutes here, the same market that we, I think, all bungled in the Chelsea game in midweek. Or, did you get it right?
Yeah,
Okay. Total goal minutes here, the midpoint with Spreadex is 171.5. So 164 to sell, 179 to buy. Are we going higher or lower? 3, 2, 1. What? What?
The goals, man.
What's happened?
Well, I mean, the first line I've got written down here is very high, and I can't keep making the same mistakes.
Fine. Okay.
My only rationale.
Yeah, good.
No, it like
You might have made a different mistake this time.
yeah. Well,
Time will
we'll
tell.
soon find out. Like it is very high, right?
It is.
171.5, super high, and you're going to say the reverse fixture ended up 6-1, that made up 409. But see, you're a little bit different now. Like they haven't really blown anyone away in a little while. As I know from my goals bets across the last few weeks. Like I'm basically going lower here purely because it's high. I think City will win for sure. I mean, I'd probably be pretty crazy to say that City
Different
still
market.
wouldn't. Exactly. But I think it will be a 2-0.
Okay.
2-0.
Yeah.
Nice and early, Hoyland style. Get them done in the first half. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just not as confident. Like, I know City will win. Well, I think City will win for sure. I'm just not confident that there'll be loads and loads of goals, as I probably would have been if you'd asked me, I don't know, a month ago.
Jack, why do you think there are going to be loads and loads of goals?
This is a very, very, very similar line to that Chelsea one. I think it's like half a minute difference.
Yeah.
So, and I did go lower in that one. It was an uncomfortable one. I said at the
It's
time.
a big half minute.
It was a big half minute. And it is always uncomfortable going. You feel uncomfortable now going lower in a City game. And I just feel, again, you see that line and you are tempted to go lower. That's kind of the initial reaction to it because, wow, it's high. But then you consider the late goals we've seen this season. That's a big factor. When you're sitting there on a lower with it, you're going, oh, you know, there is, the tighter a game is, there's chances of these late goals. And this game has a massive history of goals in it, hasn't it? You mentioned that 6-1 in the reverse, but last season it was 4-0 and 4-1 to City. Interestingly, Haaland's not had much joy in this fixtures and he scored one of those goals. So anyone who's looking to take the Haaland line here might be up against it. And also they have got Luton in the Cup the following midweek. So I'm wondering if the more physical players might be rested for that, and we'll go a bit more technical in this one. So Bournemouth haven't kept a clean sheet in 6. You would expect City to score here. They do seem to have a field day against Bournemouth, I think, because Bournemouth will go and play that style under Iraola. I think that's where this one is. I don't think they've got that ability to shut it down. We saw it last week against Newcastle, that 2-2 draw. They were in that position and conceded a late goal again. So I could see a similar scenario. I think what's gone under the radar a little bit this season is that Bournemouth have conceded 46 goals. It's the 4th highest amount in the league. Only the bottom 3 have conceded more. City's away games average 3.5 goals a game. They have been quite prolific in recent weeks, and also they are conceding goals, especially away from home. So the final part of it is to kind of compare this game to Bournemouth at home to Liverpool and Arsenal, and both those ended 4-0 for the visitors. So a similar pattern, I think, in this one, a 3-1, 4-0-ish kind of scoreline for me.
Yeah, and I think it's also easy because of the two disappointing attacking performances from a goal point of view in the last week to think City are struggling. But actually, the XG numbers, you know, I think there was an XG combined of 6 against Brentford and Chelsea. So there's no real issue in terms of their attacking output there. And also, you know, City, I always think of them as being a side dominant at home, and often, you know, it's on the road where they struggle. But actually, if you look at their recent games away from home, they scored 3 at Brentford, they scored 3 at Newcastle, they scored 3 at Everton. Didn't keep a clean sheet in any of those games. Then you got the 4-4 draw against Chelsea. The only outlier is the 1-0 defeat at Aston Villa. But apart from that, their away games are basically having at least 4 goals in each of them. And as we say with Bournemouth, we know we're going to get a side who are going to take the game to City rather than just sit back and defend. So, yeah, it's a high line. But I think with City, it's not so much that they're not playing very well from an attacking point of view. I think it's more, if they carry on going the way they're going, someone's going to be on the receiving end of a beating.
Haaland missed those massive chances. I must admit, I was sitting there watching that game and going, oh, I've kind of dodged a little bit of a bullet here. Haaland's had one of those games that he's never had before in the Premier League, I don't think. And then Flecken's made about 70 saves, I think, over the 2 games between the two. So, yeah, plenty of chance for City to put that right in this one.
Arsenal, Newcastle next on Saturday afternoon. Arsenal are the favourites in the supremacy market with Spreadex. So this is the amount of goals that the favourites beat the underdogs by. 1.6 is the midpoint here with Spreadex. So higher is Arsenal to win this game by 2 or more. Lower is is a draw or a Newcastle win. Are we going higher or lower? 3, 2, 1.
All in.
Jack?
Yeah,
all higher.
Yeah, well, all higher. So we need an Arsenal win by 2 or more goals, don't we? So it's a little bit of a
Easy.
Easy. Okay. Good.
11-0 in their last 2 games aggregate in the league.
Yes.
True.
Arsenal.
Yeah, they've done well, haven't they?
But what happened in midweek?
They lost 1-0 to Porto in midweek, so they'll bounce back from that. I think that's what they'll be looking to do. But their league form, as you say, has been sensational. Since the mini winter break, they've come back revitalised from that. So I don't know what they did while they were away, but it worked certainly. The form team in the league at the moment, they've got the best defence in the league over the course of the season. Only conceded 22 goals, and their attack, as you say, is on fire. 21 goals they've scored in the last 5 league games. And the key matchup for me in this one, I do like the little matchups. And where's the strength for Arsenal? You'd probably say Saka is. Where's the weakness for Newcastle at the moment? I think it's been identified in most recent weeks that Dan Burn is struggling a little bit now on that left side as a left back. Talk is that possibly that Eddie Howe might revert to a back 5 for this one, which he's not prone to doing too much tinkering with his lineup. So it'll be interesting to see if he does buckle for the pressure there that people have put under the fact that Burn is struggling. Those tricky wide players technical players. I think he does have a bit of an issue with them. So, yeah, I think that Saka could cause and be the difference maker here. They won 6 of their 12 home games by 2 or more goals, which is what we need here. That does include victories over Liverpool and Man United. As far as Newcastle is concerned, the thing that would concern me most there is their concession rate. Built last season on a very, very strong defence. This season it's been the complete opposite and conceded 19 in their last 7 and no clean sheet in their last 8. They lost 7 of the 12 away games by 2 or more goals and 5 of those by 2 or more goals. That's defeats to Brighton, Bournemouth, Everton, Spurs and Liverpool. So yeah, that's why I'm going with Arsenal supremacy of 2 or more goals.
Simple. Dan?
Yeah, you reeled off literally all of the stats I have here, but not only are Arsenal like in scintillating form at the moment, but Newcastle's away form has just been pretty rubbish all season. Yeah, completely different sides, home and away. So yeah, initially looking at it, like whenever you look at supremacy and you need to win by 2 goals, met with a little bit of nerves,
caution.
But, yeah, as you said, like best defence in the league for Arsenal and second best attack, 58 goals this season. So it's all just looking pretty good. And yeah, I agree with the Dan Burn stuff. Like the overexposure without Joe Linton is really showing, and I mean doesn't come up against much tougher than Saka. So yeah, I was just about to reveal my answer for the next one. I think Arsenal win by more than 2.
Yeah, I found this really difficult because even though Newcastle have been conceding a lot of goals recently, in their last 5, they're unbeaten in 4 in the league. They have to go back to a 4-2 defeat away at Liverpool for the last time they were beaten by more than a solitary goal. So since the players have come back, yes, defensively they're still poor, but their attacking output has definitely increased. Yeah, I found this tough. I think for Arsenal, the defeat in midweek is also quite obviously not ideal, where now they've got a much more difficult game on the horizon against Porto, where they're at home, where they're going to have to overturn a 1-goal deficit. But I think and also the fact they played in midweek and Newcastle haven't is also not ideal. But I think I've just got to lean on the fact that Arsenal defensively have been so solid for the most part this season. And that even though Newcastle, I think with Newcastle's defensive issues, we can be fairly confident that Arsenal are going to create chances, but it's whether or not Newcastle can break them down is my biggest concern. But that's why it's frustrating for me that the next market we're going to cover right now is total goals, which is 3.35 to sell with Spreadex and 3.55 to buy. So 3.45 is the midpoint. Are we going higher or lower?
Are we? What are we doing here?
3, 2, 1.
Oh.
So yeah, I've decided to play this like I want one of them to cop.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
And I'm hoping for a golden middle, and the golden middle is 2-0 or 3-0.
Yeah.
I just don't. I think because of my worries about Newcastle, but basically because I think Arsenal defensively is so strong, I can't say that I think 4 or more goals is more likely than anything else. Even though I do think Arsenal on the balance of things could win this game by a couple. I'm not expecting to win both. I don't think I'm going to come away with a duck egg here, and that's important. So I'm going lower.
Damage limitation.
But Dan, so you reckon this is going to be loads of goals and Arsenal covering the -1?
Yeah, I struggled so much saying lower in the goals market.
So basically, you're looking for 3-1, 4-1, 5-1.
Yeah.
Or 4-2, 5-2.
Yeah. All possible.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Arsenal will want to make a statement after that defeat last night against Porto. So that's one thing. And as I said already, they're the second best attack in the league so far.
But isn't making a statement partly not conceding goals?
Probably, yeah.
5-0?
5-0, yeah.
Done.
Perfect.
4-0, yeah.
Newcastle's away games are averaging 4 goals this season, which I probably shouldn't say so confidently because that is literally the bare minimum that I need. And Arsenal at home are 3.5. So I don't know. I looked at both of those and thought, why not go above 4 goals, 4-0, 5-0. There's loads of scores that it could possibly be. 8-0.
Yeah.
I'll be sitting pretty next week.
12-7.
12-7. Yeah. 24-1.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Okay.
Jack?
How'd you follow that? 24-1.
24-1.
Bizarrely, that's exactly the same thought process I had. I'm covering myself here.
You too.
I know. What are we like? It was like that 2-goal deficit or 2-goal margin for win was a tough And I thought, oh, and so that literally leaves us 2-0, 3-0 to hit both. So I'll take hitting one here, to be fair, in a tricky market, I feel. But yeah, as I say, for me, it's not really based on stats. It's a gut shot, and also the fact that I'm kind of trying to be a bit clever with covering two sides of the coin here. And I just feel that the Euro away day in Porto might just take enough of an edge off Arsenal that they'll get the job done, but not excessively. So yeah, 2-0, 3-0 would sit very nicely in.
Absolutely would. On then to, actually I should say, with the total goals market, you can use that if you haven't got an account with Spreadex or Sporting Index. Click on the link in the description and you can sign up for a new customer offer, which is bet 25, get 50. Total goals market is part of the free £50 worth of bets that you can get there. So T's and C's do apply. Click on the link below, and if you agree with, well, whoever you agree with, you can follow us in using that promotion. 3 more games to cover, 4 more markets. Wolves against Sheffield United, in my opinion, the biggest game on Sunday.
Absolutely, in the Premier League. It is.
If I had to watch a game on Sunday, I would choose this over the Carabao Cup Final.
Oh, right.
Personally. Because Wolves in decent form, Sheffield United trying to fight their way out of relegation. We're looking at the bookings market here. So this is booking points. 10 points for a yellow, 25 points for a red card. The total amount of booking points over the course of the game. The Sporting Index, the sell price is 58, the buy price is 62, so the midpoint is 60. So we're back to a push again.
What happens if there's exactly 60?
Push. Even if you say there's going to be exactly 60,
right, I'm not saying that this time.
It will still be a push.
Okay. I know the rules now.
Under 60, lower, over 60, higher. 3, 2, 1. This is a high line, isn't it?
It's a very high line.
What's going on here?
Very high line.
Explain it. What's going on?
Wow. The reason I'm lower is, look, we need at least 7 yellows for this to be a higher. So I've got to go lower on it. It's very rare that we'll see such a high number hit, especially in the Premier League. So I'm prepared to go with it. Referee here is Darren Bond, who I did get a very close look at last week. He's not prolific in the Premier League, only made 2 appointments so far this season, and was in charge of Norwich versus Cardiff last weekend. Only showed 3 yellow cards in that particular game as well. So he's not renowned for being particularly aggressive with the cards. His 2 outings this season, he did go over in one of them actually. That was in Fulham versus Brentford, where he showed 7 yellow cards in total. One of those was a double yellow, so counted as 35 points for Tim Ream on that occasion. So went for 75 points across that. So a reminder, it's 10 points for yellow, 25 for red. No player can get any more than 35 if he was to pick up 2 yellows. Key element here is that there's no Mason Holgate, obviously after his horrendous tackle last weekend. So him not being in the side is a bonus as far as us not picking up yellow cards is concerned. There was 5 in the reverse. Rob Jones was the referee that day, who ranked 6 as far as cards are concerned. He's certainly above our Bondi as far as the averages are concerned at 4.4. Looking at the 2 sides, their disciplinary record is relatively poor, isn't it? They're quite kind of high up in that table. 4 of Wolves' 12 home games has gone higher, and 6 have gone lower. There was 2 pushes in it for us here. And as far as Sheffield United are concerned, it's probably a little bit of a surprise to see that 8 of their 12 away games have gone lower. So although they might pick up a few themselves, they don't tend to attract too many. Which obviously it does. With a line this high, you tend to want to both teams to come to the party. So I just feel that with these 2 sides, I don't see it being particularly feisty. Bond's not a referee that gives loads and loads of cards out, so I just feel that this one should slide under. He's not ref Wolves since 2018, so there's not a lot of recent history to go on there. That game, interesting enough, was against Sheffield United. So, but obviously they've handpicked him for this. Nice. No yellow cards at all given, just 1 red card went to Sheffield United that occasion. He has refereed Sheffield United this season. That was against Gillingham in the FA Cup, 1 card each there. Before that, it was April 2023 at Norwich, 3 yellows each.
Push. Yeah, all about the ref for me, this one, as you kind of mentioned there. I think 1 of his last 6 in domestic league competition have gone over 60. 2 of his last 9. Pretty happy to play the averages there. I don't see, even though Wolves and Sheffield United both don't have great records themselves, especially in a game where it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Wolves, the home side here, are home and hose fairly early on in the game, and as soon as the game's kind of done, then the booking expectancy goes down. This was one of those where I looked at it when he sent it over and I was like, wow. So yeah, lowers
Excessively high.
a comfy one to do for me here.
Yeah, I think so. To be fair, aside from what you guys have already covered, I think the fact that Wolves, to me, are probably going to win this quite easily means it won't be a feisty affair. Like, I wasn't surprised, but Wolves committed the second highest fouls per game in the league this season, 12.6. But again, if they're 2-0 up at half time, you'd imagine like they won't be going all guns blazing, dragging people down. And as you both covered off, I imagine Sheffield United will be the ones getting both of the cards, most of the cards here. So yeah, as you said, rightfully, Jack, if they both don't come to the party, then 60 is very high.
It is.
Or more than 60.
Yeah.
Even.
Right, on to the other game on Sunday, the Carabao Cup Final between Chelsea and Liverpool. Back to the supremacy market here with Sporting Index. Liverpool, the favourites, 0.35 is the midpoint. So higher here is a Liverpool win. This is, of course, in 90 minutes. And a lower is a Chelsea win or a draw, forcing it into extra time. Higher or lower? 3, 2, 1. Oh, my God!
Oh, sweet.
This is ridiculous. Dan?
Well, I guess it's a little bit of a cop-out, really, to get the draw inside.
Cop-out.
Cop-out.
Cop-out?
Not clop-out. Cop-out.
Did anyone else think that Rob Edwards was doing quite a good audition to try and get himself a Liverpool job by doing every single interview talking about how much he loved the Kop and how Anfield are amazing and how the fans sucking the ball in? He can play the game. I don't think he's got too much of a chance of getting it there.
No.
But
anyway,
to him, wouldn't you?
I want him to be England manager.
Oh, I know you do. Yeah. And Prime Minister.
Yeah.
I think you can do both jobs at the same
Of
time.
course you can.
Definitely, yeah.
If anyone can.
If anyone can, he can. Also, that's quite a good point, right? Like, Luton did a job on Liverpool in the first half.
Yeah, in the first half.
Yeah, in the first half. We'll focus on that.
Yeah.
Chelsea are better than Luton. You might argue otherwise, but they're looking a little bit more stabilised at the moment. We saw it recently, like Dizazi's looking like he's properly settled now. And as much as I've probably hated Chelsea on this show so far, been a little bit more impressed by them. And like recent history between these two sides is like, bar the last result, which I think Liverpool won 4-1.
It did.
It's like just draws for as long as I can remember. Particularly in the finals, when they met in the finals of the FA Cup, and this one was a couple of years ago, wasn't it? And also Liverpool just have so many injuries, or at least so many doubts. They do obviously have pretty good replacements in a lot of the positions, but if this is to go, like if I'm suggesting, like it's going to be tough fought all the way through, and they need to look at the bench for options, they might not have, well, depending what happens with Salah and Nunes, etc. I don't know at this moment, but they might not have the strength there to get over the line, especially in 90 minutes. Yeah,
no, I totally agree. I also think with Chelsea's best performances this season have come in cup competitions and against the best teams in the league. Like if you look at their record against the top teams in the Premier League, they played City, Liverpool and Arsenal all at home and didn't lose any of those games, which back in the day for Chelsea you'd think that's par for the course, but given how their season's gone so far, like that's a pretty good effort. Last time out in the Cup against Aston Villa, they put in one of the best displays of the whole season. They went to Villa Park and did what not many teams have done to them, just completely played them off the park. Didn't really give anything away in terms of the defensive side of things. And I also think a big part of this as well is that Liverpool played on Wednesday night, and even though they won the game 4-1, like they had a game, like they were, they won't have come through that easily. And with Chelsea having had the rest in midweek, I think that plays a big part in this as well. So, yeah, I think Chelsea coming into this have a really good chance of getting some unlikely silverware that might upset those who think that Poch never wins anything. But we'll certainly buy them a little bit of time with the fans.
Yeah, I agree with all those points. They were the main ones for me. The Liverpool injuries are a concern, what they can do with that. The fact they played a midweek and were made to work into the second half to get the win that they needed. Chelsea's better performances, certainly in recent weeks, they seem to be raising their game in cup games and against the better opposition in the Premier League, which Liverpool certainly are. And it's a final. They tend to be very, very tight. So I'm happy to get the draw on side for this one to drift into extra time.
Spoiler alert. Finals tend to be tight, and we're now going to talk about total goal minutes. Total goal minutes here with Sporting Index, 148 is the midpoint, 143 is the sell price, 153 the buy price. So this is the total amount of minutes the goals are scored in within the game. So if you're going high, you want loads of goals and late goals. If you go lower, you want early goals and no goals. 148 the midpoint with Sporting Index, 3, 2, 1. Guys, this is bad content.
I saw Dan scowling. He was going, I've got to go lower in this goal.
Well, at least we know he's going to go higher in the next one. Jack, you just mentioned you thought it'd be cagey, so you can carry on going.
Yeah, absolutely. Last 5 EFL Carabao Cup finals have been lower. These two obviously met in 2022, ended 0-0 after 90 minutes, 0-0 after extra time, went to penalties. Who got the winning penalty?
Well, no, Kepa missed one.
Yeah.
I don't know who scored the winner.
Kelleher.
Oh my God, that's weird that I remember the one keeper missed. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Nice.
well, I think that was the Kepa one where he refused to come off, was it, for penalties?
I was at the. No, it wasn't.
It wasn't that one.
No, that
Different
was
game.
under. That was under Sari.
It was.
But I was at the Nou Camp that night,
Oh, yeah.
watching Ousmane Dembele just tear Athletic Bilbao a new one.
Okay.
So I didn't
you
watch
made the right call.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically how the recent history in the cup finals has gone. 72-0, 82, 91-0, 141 with the scores there. You have to go back to 2017, Man United beating Southampton 3-2 for that to be a higher. And obviously prior to the 4-1 defeat of Liverpool over Chelsea this season that you mentioned there, the last 9 games between these two sides have gone under this total goal minutes. 4 0-0s involved in that and a 1-1 as well.
Lovely stuff. Dan, thoughts?
Yeah, pretty much exactly the same. Just to go back to the injuries, like if Liverpool's attack is a little bit weaker as a result of potentially Salah and Núñez missing out. I also mentioned in the last one that I've been a little bit more impressed with Chelsea's defence. Pretty much continuously impressed by Liverpool's defence. Essentially just saying that I think defence will outweigh attack for both sides here. Yeah, I don't know. I just look at this game and the fact that it's a final and it just doesn't scream goals to me, which will be a massive surprise to you guys. Most games do scream goals. This one just doesn't.
Yeah, I think finals, especially with total goal minutes, aren't great because you've got one side, if they're leading, who don't really have, may not show much attacking threat. Seen a couple of games recently with Chelsea, the 1-1 draw against City, where we went higher and it wasn't. The 0-0 draw against Villa at home in the FA Cup at Stamford Bridge. And there's a part of me that thinks maybe with Thiago Silva out and Disasi and Colwell being the new centre-back duo, we might see Chelsea a little bit more solid defensively. But yeah, finals, I think it basically, if you just sold everything in finals, generally you'd be okay.
A winning formula.
Maybe not in the World Cup final last time, but generally you should be a fair way to play it. Especially when you've got two teams who in the league are fairly attacking, so the line's relatively high. Yeah. Monday Night Football, an all-London affair. West travels to East with West Ham hosting Brentford. Finally, player goal minutes. It is that man, Ivan Toney, been in scintillating form since returning from his ban. With Sporting Index, the sell price is 24, the buy price is 27. So the midpoint is 25.5. So if he were to score in the first minute and the 7th minute, that would make up 8. And if you went higher, it would be a loser. If you were to score in the 60th minute,
that sort of thing never happens.
It would be a winner. Cool. And even if he did the super minutes, which is where the second gets doubled and the third gets trebled, you still would have lost.
Yep, I know, I'm aware.
Right. Ivan Toney, 25.5 at Sporting Index. Are we going higher or lower?
There's only one answer
3,
for
2,
this.
1.
Hey! Oh, I'm not alone though, at least.
You're not alone.
Thanks, mate.
Wow,
I
nice.
appreciate the support.
That was fun. I'm going lower here. It's a market that I like to. I don't really like to buy in unless, as I say, it's a very low line with someone playing out position or whatnot. West Ham defensive record recently. What happened? They shipped 6 against Arsenal. Before that, though, at home, 1 against Bournemouth, clean sheet against Brighton, clean sheet against Manchester United, clean sheet against Wolves, 1 against Crystal Palace. They are, until the Arsenal game, defensively so sound at home. And I think we can basically draw a line through that game where we know that David Moyes, against the best teams in the league, just has this idea that he wants to sit off and let the opposition have the ball. That won't be the case here. Brentford, in a similar way to West Ham, not too much interest in retaining possession. I think the game should fall into West Ham's lap a little bit better. I think they should be pretty adept at stopping Brentford's threat. Obviously, Toney's the biggest goal threat for Brentford. Penalties as well, we'll play 90 minutes and the rest of it. But, you know, I'm getting a quarter of the game on my side if he were to score. And I'm not really willing to think that he's more than likely to score after the 25th minute in this game. Dan?
Yeah, fair enough.
Thanks.
Fair enough. Tony's played against West Ham 3 times in the Premier League in his career.
Okay.
And scored twice, but won all 3 of them.
What?
Yeah.
1 or 3 games?
Yeah, what? Yeah.
What is the relevance to that?
Well, because form suggests that Brentford might win, and if you look at that, and
But he has to
you just
score.
said he's the biggest goal threat. So
That
score,
is
tenuous.
some mental gymnastics, that one.
Nah, it makes sense. I think it makes sense. And
Okay.
also,
Brentford have won all 5 Premier League games between them
There you
and West
go.
Ham.
that's even better.
Even better, isn't it?
But Tony's only scored in 2 of them.
Well, he's only
He's
played in 3 of them.
Okay, fine.
And he scored in the last 2
And when did he score in the last 2?
in enough time.
When?
Good times.
I want
I'll
numbers.
come back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, no, do it.
He
Oh,
says
you're
come back
gonna
to
come back to me. Okay. Well, also, like you're talking about West Ham's defensive record. Fair enough. Can't argue with the hard cold facts. But only Sheffield United are conceding
sounds like
more
you're going
shots per game than West Ham.
Okay.
17 shots per game.
Yeah.
So, like, if you want more mental gymnastics, if you want to break that down to who will get those shots, you think Tony will probably get the lion's share. How many of them is he going to get, and how many of them is he going to miss?
Had 8 shots against Liverpool.
There you go.
I'm afraid to say you are
Oh,
wrong.
What?
Oh,
What?
30th of December 2022, the last time Ivan Toney scored against West Ham. It was after 18 minutes.
I know.
You know.
I know.
You said it was in enough time.
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
I wasn't going to give you a win, was I?
Right, Jack, you finish us off.
The other one was higher. Yeah.
64 the other one.
Enough. Well enough.
All right, okay.
That's perfect.
I just think he's going to score. That's the main reason behind it. I
Fair
think, so yeah, Brentford have got a great record against West Ham. Largely relevant. This ended 3-2 in the reverse fixture. I do think Brentford will score against West Ham. I think they're in a real terrible place. They've got kind of Palace and Hodgson vibes, but they've been there before under Moyes and seemingly decided they're up for it again. So I just feel that there's goals in the game, and I think if Brentford score, then Tony's going to get on the score sheet. When's the time? That's the thing. As I say, Dan's roped me into this one. I've fallen for it hook, line and sinker. He's got me involved. But yeah, I fancy Tony to score. As I said, he's got off to a great start since his return. 3 goals in 6 games. 4 goals.
Yeah.
What I meant to say was that it's landed in 3 of those as far as the higher, because he scored 1 after 19. His other 3 goals were 67, 77 and 75. So, yeah, I just think him being on penalties and being on free kicks and kind of wanting to take everything he can at the moment and put a bit of a show on, these are the sort of games that I think he'll look to take advantage of, because their run since he's been back has been against quite tricky opponents, Man City twice, Liverpool. So he scored in 2 of his 3 away appearances as well, only that Man City one where he didn't manage to make the net bulge. But he will on Monday night.
He will.
He will.
He will.
Trust
He
me.
will.
I don't think he will. Right, that brings this week's episode of Higher or Lower to a close. Thank you very much to Jack. Thank you very much to Dan for sharing their thoughts and insights. Make sure you do sign up for a Sporting Index or a Spreadex account if you haven't already. Click the link below in the description for a new customer offer. Bet 25, get 50. And do check out Spreadex and Sporting Index for all your spread betting needs across sport. Oddschecker has you covered for all fixed odds stuff, and make sure you subscribe to the Oddschecker YouTube channel as well, where you can find plenty of preview content, and check out WhoScored for all of your stats needs to inform your betting selections ahead of the weekend's football across multiple leagues in Europe and around the world as well. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this. Do remember that losses can exceed your initial deposit in spread betting. Enjoy the weekend's football, and please do ensure that you're gambling responsibly.